Charlie murmurs, and her sister, not understanding, asks what's wrong. Charlie doesn't respond, so Annie questions if she's writing to that girl. She replies that she can't do it, as the girl probably hates athletes. She explains that she was afraid to reply and that accidentally she let the whole week pass without doing it. Blaming herself, she says that the girl probably hates her now and that everything is lost. Annie calls her an idiot and tells her that no one would invite someone out if they weren't interested. She adds that the girl was probably waiting for her message all week and asks if she still wants to go out with her. If so, Charlie should send a message back to make her day. Feeling sensitive, Charlie admits she wants to see her, and her sister urges her to text her before the girl really gets mad. Desperate, Charlie agrees with her sister and texts Shay. By the way, she was lost in her dark thoughts and nervous, wondering why Charlie hadn't responded after almost a week. She thinks that maybe she was being ignored, which makes sense, and that Charlie was just trying to subtly reject her. Shay bangs her head against the table, discouraged, until suddenly her phone vibrates with a message from Charlie. In the message, Charlie admits she was scared to reply and asks her not to hate her. Shay looks at the screen, then fills with joy, exclaiming how beautiful the world is to finally get a response. Although she considers replying coldly, she tells herself that she shouldn't act like she's about to drown her sorrows in 12 hours of dating simulators. Charlie, surprised by Shay's quick reply, asks if everything is okay and if she still wants to go out with her. Shay replies that, of course, the date is still on. Charlie thanks God, thinking she had ruined everything. She decides she should call Shay because she wants to do things right. That's when Shay sees the call and, startled, wonders why the hell Charlie is calling her, as she hated answering calls because they were uncomfortable. However, she decides to answer. Charlie greets her and says she called to apologize, thanking her for the sweet things she said when inviting her out. She also promises to make up for her mistake before quickly hanging up. Annie, curious, jokes with Charlie asking what make up for it means. Meanwhile, Shay also wonders what she meant by make up for it. The next day, Charlie wakes up anxious with only one thought in mind. Today was the day of the date. Shay gets ready, combs her hair, dresses, brushes her teeth, and uses a little mouthwash, then uses a bit more just in case. She says she's done with the tasks, has some dollars in her bank account, and this time filled the car with gas. She wonders if she forgot anything. That's when Danny intervenes and asks if she cleaned her room, as it was quite messy. Shay looks at her room, then enters and screams at the mess she's seeing. She says it doesn't matter because they won't be coming back there that night, though she admits she should clean it at some point. She leaves her room and asks the girl something important, wondering what she looks like. The girl answers that she looks amazing, and Shay asks her to smell her breath. The girl only notices the mouthwash scent, and Shay says she's ready to leave. However, she stays silent for a few minutes until suddenly she panics and confesses to Danny that she's very nervous because she's never been out with a girl, let alone the girl of her dreams. She explains that Charlie is sweet and adorable, but she doesn't know how to handle the situation. She starts blaming herself, saying Danny reassures her, saying she's learned something by being her roommate and compares Shay to a cat. Shay doesn't understand the comment, and Danny explains that although she can sometimes be a total disaster, she always lands on her feet. She assures her that she believes in her ability to overcome any situation just by doing her best. She also mentions that, as she said before, she leads the dates and just needs to invoke that special energy, which isn't something it seems, but something that comes from the heart. Inspired by Danny's words, Shay thanks her and asks her to wish her luck before leaving. On the way to the date, in her car, Shay wonders if this is the house where Charlie lives. She's impressed by the houses in the area and wonders if her crush really lives there, thinking that maybe she's rich. This makes her even more nervous. She arrives at Charlie's house and knocks lightly, then is greeted by her sister Annie. Shay is greatly surprised and thinks the family's genetics are incredible. She asks the woman at the door if Charlie is home, and she replies that she's almost done getting ready and invites Shay in. From a distance, Charlie asks who's there, and her sister responds that it's a package, introducing Shay as a special delivery. They exchange looks, both filled with embarrassment. Charlie is startled by the girl's arrival and decides to run away, saying she's not ready, asking for just a second, to which Shay understands. Meanwhile, she and Annie are left alone in complete silence until Annie tells her that her sister will be back soon, and Shay turns red with nerves while thinking how beautiful Charlie looked in that outfit. They introduce themselves and say it's a pleasure to meet each other. Annie tells Shay to make herself comfortable and asks if she wants a drink, mentioning that Annie just turned 21 and has plenty of alcohol. Shay declines, but Annie comments that her sister had been talking about her all week. This leaves Shay curious about the topic, and Annie tells her she understands the reason, getting closer and exclaiming that Shay is beautiful and that she loves her style and hair. Shay thanks her for the compliment, and Annie mentions that Charlie had always tried to go out with other people, but always knew she was incredibly gay. Shay responds that it's funny because the first thing Charlie said when inviting her out was that she wasn't gay, but didn't mind going out with a girl. She adds that it was the cutest thing she'd ever heard. Annie laughs and comments that this is very typical of Charlie. Charlie, on her side, wonders if she should wear this outfit and recalls a conversation with her sister about what to wear. She finally decides to put on the jacket. She rushes back to the living room, apologizing for the delay, and finds Shay and her sister laughing and having fun. Charlie feels insecure, fearing that her indecision made Annie embarrass her in front of Shay, so she runs immediately to stop her, jumping on her sister. After that brief moment, they leave, and Annie wishes them to have fun. Shay tells Annie it was a pleasure to meet her, then asks if Charlie is ready. Her crush replies that she is and apologizes for making her wait so long. Shay tells her it's no problem and blushes for noticing how adorable Charlie is. She then compliments Charlie's jacket and reflects that it looks nice, but doesn't understand why she'd want to cover such a beautiful body. This compliment makes Charlie blush and thank her while clutching the jacket. Somewhere in the city, Shay says they're going to a highly rated taco restaurant near the university and asks if Charlie is okay with it, to which she replies, yes. She also mentions that Charlie told her to pick the place, so she did, and hopes everything is fine. Then she asks what kind of food Charlie generally likes. Charlie replies that she likes various types of food, like Italian, sushi, and burgers, but usually makes her own food and doesn't eat out often. Charlie turns red with embarrassment, thinking she almost revealed that she is part of a soccer team and practices other sports, and she doesn't want the girl to think she's a tomboy, getting scared by that. Shay wonders why Charlie's diet is so similar to that of an athlete, feeling somewhat impressed. She then thinks that this would explain the big arms and her toned body. She tells herself that she knew her eyes weren't deceiving her, that Charlie was in great shape and had an amazing body. But then she reflects that it's a shame she's wearing that jacket, especially because it's so hot. And she wonders why Charlie is so nervous. She assumes it's probably Charlie's first date, so she blames herself for not guiding the encounter better. But she also feels a bit scared and concludes that she has to do something. Anxious, Shay decides to change the mood. She calls Charlie and says that last week she forgot to tell her how beautiful she looked since the last time they met. Charlie blushes and feels completely embarrassed, but Shay tells her they've arrived at their destination. Once inside, Shay orders 2 tacos and reflects that she thought of the best possible plan since they are in a Mexican restaurant. They both sit down, and the waiter asks if they want anything to start with. Charlie says that water is enough, while Shay orders salsa and cheese. The order arrives, and Charlie begins to eat. Shay is eager to watch Charlie eat, as this order had been specifically chosen so the hot sauce would get her blood flowing and make her feel some warmth, to help Charlie relax and feel comfortable. After all, dates should be pleasant. But then she rethinks it and admits that she faces a problem, commenting that her stomach doesn't tolerate spicy food well, saying that her trips to the bathroom will feel the consequences. Charlie, somewhat confused, asks what she meant, and Shay realizes she said it out loud, but due to her nerves, continues explaining that her toilet will be sad the next day, as it would be because suddenly, Shay wonders what the heck she was thinking saying that. Charlie can't hold back and starts laughing out loud, saying that she had never heard anyone talk like that. Shay apologizes, explaining that she and her roommate usually talk like that between themselves, and it slipped out. Charlie, still laughing, says her stomach hurts from laughing so much. Shay promises to control herself more, but Charlie tells her that it's not necessary because it was very funny and she likes how Shay can say something so unexpected. Shay thanks her, but Charlie thinks she's amazing and didn't even flinch when she talked about poop. Then she mentions that the food is delicious but very spicy, which is making her feel hot. Shay says she feels the same and hopes it will help her relax a bit, adding that she'll keep drinking water. But then she watches, surprised, as Charlie takes off her jacket, revealing her toned body and letting the water fall. Shay is shocked to see Charlie's body. Charlie, on her part, remembers a conversation she had with a friend who said that girls should be feminine, and feeling a bit uncomfortable, immediately puts her jacket back on. Jones wonders if the girl was nervous, but then thinks to herself that it was better she put the jacket back on, as it would distract her anyway. However, she hopes Charlie feels a bit more at ease after all. Just at that moment, the waiter brings the tacos and both of them start eating. Shay asks Charlie what she likes to do besides going to college. Charlie, stammering a bit, remembers a conversation with Annie where she told her that Shay would find her boring because all she did was read, draw, and practice sports. That she had no friends and spent her days alone at home, wondering what she should do. Annie responded that, even though it sounded like a cliché, all Charlie had to do was be herself. Since there was a reason she liked those things, she just had to share her interests because passion and enthusiasm are more interesting than something that just seemed interesting. Back in the present, Charlie Cotton mentions that her main hobby at the moment is reading classic literature books. Shay is surprised as she didn't expect that answer since she thought Charlie would have more hobbies related to sports. Charlie, noticing her reaction, gets scared, thinking that Shay found her boring. Shay then asks if she likes Moby Dick, to which Charlie responds yes, but that she's currently reading Dracula. It's then that the girl gets excited and comments that that's very interesting, then asks if Charlie thinks those books are good and which one is her favorite. Charlie relaxes and replies that her favorite book is To Kill a Mockingbird. She begins to list all the aspects of the work that catch her attention and concludes by saying that she takes notes to use in her own writing. Shay is glad that Charlie is opening up and hopes she is enjoying the moment. She tells her that it's very interesting and asks if she likes to write. Charlie replies that she would love to be an author someday or write comics, which is what she's studying in school. Shay gets really excited and asks to see some of her work one day, but Charlie responds that she's not ready to publish what she does yet, which Charlie says will be someday. She then thinks that she didn't expect Charlie to be a book lover, but that it seemed very cute. Jones comments that Charlie's hobby is interesting and mentions that she works in computer science, although she points out that it's an exhausting career. Charlie is impressed, but Shay comments that it's because it's a field with good job opportunities. She also comments that the tacos are delicious, and Charlie points out Shay's taco, which looks like lobster, and says it seems really good, revealing that maybe she'll try it another time. Shay tells her that's right, then calls her and offers to let her try it right now if she wants to. Charlie gets very nervous, thinking that it would almost be like an indirect kiss since the taco is coming straight from Shay's mouth. And with that, we've reached the end of this week's chapter. If you made it all the way to the end, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this chapter in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe so our community can keep growing and we can reach more fans like you. See you in the next video. In the meantime, if you're from the near future, I'll leave you the next chapter and a comic you're sure to enjoy. Thank you for being part of this adventure.